This Toyota Corolla Hybrid is in for a service. You can do it at home. Let me show you how. First thing you need to do is get the car up onto a pair of axle stands and secure, because you are going to be working underneath it, so make sure it is safe. Next, we are going to remove this panel here. You do not need to drop the entire belly pan. They conveniently give you an access panel here, which is held in place with a series of 10mm bolts. So buzz them out and get that panel off. That then gives us access to our drain plug and our oil filter. So we are going to drain the oil and pop the filter off. So just get a suitable receptacle and get that plug removed. The drain plug is 14mm, by the way. Once the oil is drained, do up your drain plug with a new sump washer. You don't need to stitch it, tight is tight. And now we are going to remove our oil filter. Now you can use whatever tool you see fit to do that. You can use a C-spanner, the correct oil filter removal tool, or there's all sorts of different oil filter removal tools available. I am going to use the strap type one. This being the strap type one here. It just seems to be the easiest one to get in at the filter. There's the claw type ones as well, which is this one here, but it just doesn't seem to want to kind of get in at it. So we'll go back to this one. And this is the reason why I love Toyotas. They make this little point in the metal here on the oil filter housing to guide the oil straight down instead of it going all over the place. That is cool. So we'll spin that oil filter off and we'll wet the seal on the new one with some oil, and we'll pop it on and just give it a little nip. You do not need to stitch these. Oil filter is now installed and tight. The drain plug is in. So now we are going to put 4 litres of 0W20 engine oil into it. And we're going to just check our levels then, run the engine, make sure everything's all right. But what I would suggest you do is just try putting 1 litre into it first of all, and just do a little leak check. Make sure that sump plug is tight enough and everything as well. So we're going to do that now, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so there is 4 litres of 0W20 in that engine now. Never ceases to amaze me how lightweight that 0W20 is, especially when I consider that many of the cars that I work on are 20W50 and stuff like that, which is much, much heavier stuff. But anyway, that's all done. So what we're going to do is we'll do a final level check when the car is back on its wheels. No point in checking it now with it up on the axle stands, because you won't get a true level. Might need a little bit more, but it should be pretty close to the mark. We drained 4 litres out of it and it was full at that stage, so I'd say we're probably close there. So next thing to do is refit that access panel on the bottom, and we're going to do our air filter and our cabin filter next as well, and then we're going to just check on the brakes and make sure that they're all happy out too. Access panel is now refitted on the bottom of the car, so let's get the air filter changed. The air filter is located in here. Undo the 2 clips. Should be able to just lift that off with a bit of jiggling. There we go, and that's it in there. Obviously put the new one in and clip it back up. And there is the new filter fitted. So you just hook the little spuds in underneath here and do up your clips. Obviously, it's a lot easier when you're not holding a camera, so I'll just do them up now. Next, I'm going to go and wash the paws, because I'm going to be doing some stuff on the inside of the car. I strongly recommend wearing gloves when you're doing oil changes, and actually, to be honest with you, usually I do. It's just I kind of got oil on my hands before I even thought of putting gloves on. Anyway, yeah, it is carcinogenic, so definitely wearing gloves is a sensible thing. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to change the cabin filter. That is located in behind the glove box, so I'm going to show you how to do that now. First thing we need to do is open the glove box and undo the snubber from the side of it here, which is just kind of clipped on, and then you'll see on either side of the glove box are these 2 kind of doofers here, which we need to unclip, and that will allow the glove box in its entirety to hinge down, giving us access to behind. But we need to take the stuff out of the glove box first. If you're careful, you can take out the glove box without emptying the contents from it. So the cabin air filter is in behind here. We undo the clip at the side, which allows us to take the cover off, and this little plastic tray pops out like so, and there is our cabin air filter. Now you keep the plastic tray and take the element out of it, so that comes out like that, and that leaves us our plastic tray, and here is our new filter. The up arrow faces up, obviously, and the new filter pops in there, and then you slide the whole assembly back into place, and that's the job. Hard to do with one hand. And there is the new cabin air filter fitted to the tray, so that slots back in there like so. and the cover goes back on like that, and we refit our glove box. Now is the time to check the brake pad condition. So you'll see these little spuds here and here. They are your wear indicators, and if they are flush with the surface that surrounds them, then it's time to change your brake pads. So yeah, the discs are looking absolutely fine. Pads are fine, still plenty of meat left on them. Same situation on both sides. Have a look at the tyres, and these are quite worn, and I'm going to suggest to the car owner that she replace them sooner rather than later. The one on the other side is actually worse, leading me to believe that there is actually an issue with the tracking on this car. You can see there, that is very bad. So, and it's worn more on the outside than it is on the inside. So I'm going to suggest to her to bring it down somewhere where she can get the tracking checked. Obviously I can't do that, that requires specialist tools. The rear pads also have wear indicators on them, and they're a little bit more worn, but one thing I am looking at is the state of the discs. They're not great. Now, to be honest with you, what I would be doing is I'll wait until those pads are actually gone, and suggest to her that probably at the next service she does rear pads and discs. For the moment anyway though, they're alright. There is a bit of meat left in them. To me, that's the hallmark of some idiot who put new pads on old discs or worn discs. So they are working, but I wouldn't be particularly happy with that. I'm going to suggest to her if she does want to get it done soon, we can do it for her. The last few steps in the process involve just basically checking to make sure all the bulbs are okay, your wipers are okay, and then we're going to interrogate it for any fault codes. If you don't have the facility to do that, then you may have to get somebody to do it for you, or just buy one of the cheap Bluetooth dongles. They're really not that expensive. I have a slightly more advanced kind of diagnostic computer which I can plug into it, and I'm going to do that now. Again, they're not actually massively expensive either. You can get reasonable ones for kind of 200-300 quid if you're doing a lot of this kind of stuff. But I'll do this on this car, check all the bulbs, lights, wipers, all that kind of stuff, and then we will give it a belt of a sponge and make sure it is looking nice and clean for the owner before we return it. And there she is, all washed and ready to go back to the happy owner. Job's a good one.